102.5.
Another week is almost ended, and a Saturday is here with us. On Saturdays between now and 12 midday is all about the nation Ghana, the issues Ghanaians have been talking about, the issues Ghanaians have been discussing in their homes, in their offices, in the trotro, in their private cars, wherever they find themselves. We discuss these issues here as much as possible, soundity at the core of all our deliberations on the show. My name is Samuel Chen. It gives me so much pleasure to welcome you to today's edition of Alhaji and Alhaji, the mother of all talk shows. So what have Ghanaians been talking about this week? This week, for every office I entered into after the 6th of June, it was all about surprise. It was all about shock. It was all about dismay. It was all about the pain. It was all about the hurt the Ghanaians were expressing. And it had to do with the Anas expose. That explosive expose Anas did within the football circles, which landed at the presidency of this country. What are we talking about? We are talking about the number 12 expose of Anas. I'll try my best to paint a little picture for you. By the time I got to the Accra International Conference Center around 2 p.m., lots and lots of people had gathered to come and watch what was on that video, considering we had seen and heard snippets of information as to how explosive and how that was going to shake our country, Ghana. Did it really have that impact? Those descriptions, did we feel them? Some would say we did, some would say we did not. But that footage has sent this country on a very divisive, explosive path. Some believing that the man at the center of all of this, Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi, the GFA president, every word he said in that video was the truth, and that it cannot be taken for an allegation. And those who believe, oh, he was just bragging, and that the presidency, by that I mean the people who were mentioned in that video, the president, his vice, the deputy chief of staff, some ministers of state cannot be compromised. What is your position on that after viewing that Anas expose? The aftermath we all know, when the GFA president was banned, immediately after that we were told he had resigned. We have all cited the document spelling out his reasons for resignation. It has also raised issues for people to talk about. Would his resignation absolve all the people he accused in that video of being allegedly involved in corrupt activities of these allegations? Would it? There is also the angle of Parliament, joining the conversation with an interest to investigate this matter. That also became another matter, with Ghanaians saying, we already know the outcome of a parliamentary investigative work. It would either be a minority report or a majority report. Thus, we do not want the minority investigating this. How would that turn out? Equally, were we ambushed by the things the Ghana police are supposed to have done? The leaking of the statement of Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi into the media space. The media house that published that story has also come under a lot of fire, considering the content they decided to focus their attention on, which has to do with the former president John Dramani Mahama and some allegation that some monies was given to him. Was it seen in that expose? It's for you to be the judge. But whilst the video was ongoing, the first day on the 6th of June, we were to step out to hear that His Excellency the President had fired some number of chief executive officers. It is something which Ghanaians will be discussing. But what was the reasoning behind that, a lot of conspiracy theorists have already started doing their own permutations about the actions of His Excellency the President. The boss, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, and other people, the Kolebu, had their boss also being sacked. The GPHA director was also sacked. There are those who are saying there are lots more people who ought to be sacked. Some ministers of state who ought to be sacked. Would we see these in the days ahead of us? Let's wait and see. But that is how Ghana has been throughout the entire week. Will it continue into next week? Let's wait and see. But once more, welcome to Alhaji and Alhaji, the mother of all talk shows. This morning, I'll walk you through the headlines of the newspapers I have today. And as always, I have the Daily Graphic in front of me. I have the Ghanaian Times in front of me. And also the Daily Guide newspaper, the Spectator newspaper, all on the front pages. And I'll be discussing them with you. Daily Graphic has a picture of Mr. Kennedy Japan and that of Anas Aremia Anas, and it says Anas sues Kennedy Japan. He's demanding 25 million Ghana cedis. FIFA bans Nyantechi. He apologizes to President and others. 3 persons die in room sprayed with chemical. Ghana meets Niger tonight. That's on the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Ghanaian Times has on its front page, FIFA bans Kwesi Nyantechi as he resigns as GFA president. Anas sues Kennedy Japan 25 million Ghana cedis for defamation. 3 shot, 13 arrested in clashes at Jamestown. Operation Vanguard arrests 11 galamseyers, all on the front page of that paper. Daily Guide says, Nyantechi in trouble, quits GFA, FIFA fires him, begs Nana. Nana storms Western region. Anas sues Kennedy Japan 25 million Ghana cedis. Poisonous insecticide kills 3 at Mamobi. That's all on the front page of the paper. You will find on the front page of the Spectator newspaper a picture of Deborah Vanessa, and it says, looking sleek on the red carpet, the new order. Man marries 3 wives at single ceremony. Meet Superintendent Felicia Ayesu, and female vegetarians unlikely to have fibroid. That's according to Dr. Gordon Atto. That's all on the front page of the Spectator newspapers, and the papers I have with me this morning on the show to help me do justice to the issues. Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr. is the managing editor of the Insight newspaper. Alhaji A.B. Fuseini, ranking member on the Communication Committee in Parliament and MP for Sanarugu constituency. His Excellency Ambassador Sampiale, former High Commissioner to India, would be joining me as well. And the issues we are discussing are a thorough look at the fallout from the Anas Aremia expose, and government's action to dissolve GFA, and a call for a bipartisan investigation into the expose and matters arising. Equally, would we seek to critically analyze the mass sack by President Akufo-Addo for some chief executive officers from some institutions, GPHA, JPA, KBTH, and BOST, and matters arising as well. As always, you know that we have many affiliates across the country that you can listen to all over in the world. And you can listen to us on our website, www.radiogold905.com. So can you listen to us if you go to the tuning application and search for Radio Gold 90.5. You can also monitor us if you go to the Google Play Store and search for Radio Gold 90.5. You can install that application. It will give you the opportunity to listen to us anywhere in the world as well. Your thoughts, your views, your comments play a very important role in our deliberations on the show, and so we always encourage you to keep sending your messages through, and you can do so by looking for me personally on Twitter and then on Facebook. Look for at Samuel Ishen GH. It's all spelled together and therefore it's one word, at Samuel Ishen GH. That's how you'd find me on Facebook and Twitter. You add me and then you start sending your comments through. You'll come through and I'll read them along the way as we discuss the issues. The show is proudly brought to us by TT Brothers. They are the proud sponsors of the show. They are the distributors for Anko Tea, Premium Malt, Extra Energy and Vitality, and is a non-alcoholic malt drink that Anko Tea distributes in this country. We'll tell you much more as our conversation progresses. It's not the only product they distribute. Stay with me longer because I'll be sharing that with you. So we will set the ball rolling with the Honorable A.B.A. Fuseni and pick his comment on our first issue, which has to do with the fallouts from the Anas Arimiyao Anas video expose, which kickstarted on the 6th of June. Honorable, good morning.
Good morning. Let me say, Awuzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. And to all our brother Muslims on this month of holy month of Ramadan. Let me say a good morning to all the listeners of Radio Gold across the world, to the good people of the Sarnargu constituency, and to my brother Kwesi Pratt, who I've always said has been a pillar of this program from the very onset when we commenced this program years back. To you, Sami Eshen, for the dedication you have shown to this program, the research that you've done to enrich the content of this program, and to your technicians who behind the scenes make this program very possible in spite of the difficulties. Sammy, they say that when you count hot things, you remove fire first. Fire is the epitome of heat. And so, undoubtedly, as you said, today the issue of the day is the 12th edition of the Anas tape, the video. But Sammy, let me say first, without any iota of hesitation, that this subject matter of the issues of corruption in the tape, in the video expose of the 12th edition of Anas's work, is a microcosm of a bigger problem. That is the issue of massive corruption, unprecedented levels of corruption under the Nana Akufo-Addo government. A government within 1.5 years that has earned notoriety for scandals, corrupt deals and others almost on a daily basis. Now you wake up almost every day and you hear that this scandal has broken, another scandal has broken under this government. Within 1.5 years. So, Sammy, I want to situate that within that context. And I hope that we'll have the opportunity to actually shed light on this issue of corruption, massive corruption under this government. And it's not surprising. I've always said that, Sammy, when the cow is chewing grass, the calf watches the mother's mouth so that it can perfect the art of chewing. You see, things just don't happen overnight. They have a history, they have a background. The massive corruption that we are talking about under the MPP within this short period of time, they brought some of it from their days of opposition. I'm just laying the foundation so that we see where we are coming from. You remember in the run-up to the dismissal of Paul Afoko, Sami Krab, and Kwabena Japan, there was this element of stealing and thievery at the party headquarters of the MPP, especially in relation to the opening of some unsanctioned accounts, I think at EcoBank, and calls for investigations were made. The police even attempted to investigate the matter, and the MPP said they had no confidence in the Ghana police. They declared a total vote of no confidence in the Ghana police and said they were not going to cooperate with the law enforcement agencies. And so, commence with the action of throwing all these other people I mentioned out of the party. So, Sammy, this one has a history. And so, coming into government, you can expect some of these things to follow them into government. So I mean, let me take this opportunity first on the tape, on the video expose of the Anas listen, to commend my brother Anas Ademiao Anas. Sami, it is not all of us, first and foremost, who have that level of commitment and dedication to function as patriots by exhibiting love for your country. Love for country is not common with every Ghanaian.
Yeah.
Indeed, there are people, even when they have the opportunity to even function at higher levels, they would even want to sell the country for their personal benefit. So love for your country, to do what is right and proper in the service of your country, to the point of even sacrificing your life. Because this job that Anas has done, and we all say this is the 12th edition, Sami, he could have been caught along the line, and if he was, and I believe some people may even have tried to trail him, they could have found ways of dealing with him, and nobody knows what dealing with him would result in. So it is something worth commending, that for somebody who can sacrifice his life for the betterment of his country, to expose the massive levels of rot, so that the country and those who are placed in authority can have the requisite opportunity. Institutions that are tasked to deal with issues of infractions of the law would take over, do their part, so that this country can be better served and anchored on proper and decency. So I think that Anas ought to be commended highly by all well-meaning Ghanaians for having done this job. Sami, having said that, I also have heard issues being raised regarding the methodology. There are people who have complained about the methods being used, and have used words like enticement, entrapment, and all those other things that go with criticisms about Anas's methods. I believe that people are entitled to their opinions. They may, in every method that we use, Sami, there always will be merits and demerits. There is no human approach or method that can be adopted that will be 100% foolproof or perfect. Perfection is an ideal in human endeavor. More often than not, it's not the reality. There can't be any perfect thing in human endeavor. Perfection is only for Almighty Allah. Human beings can only attempt to work at perfection, but they can never attain perfection. Perfection can never ever be attained, no matter the level of our society's advancement. And so, just like any other thing, the methods that Anas uses, there are people who may have difficulties with it and may have some criticism, genuine or otherwise, to make. But I ask myself, Sami, how can we get evidence of corruption? Which other methods are available to us through which we can get similar results such as Anas gets? So that if it is a more refined method that we can use to get it, let people adopt it, and let's also see how it comes out with. Because I really see that in the absence of any other more refined method, that is the best that we have to do with. And at the end of the day, is able to bring us results that will inure to the benefit of this country. I think that on the balance, like I've always said, there's not a perfect system. Anas is not perfect. The methods that he has used are not perfect. But nevertheless, with all the imperfections, is able to give us some very impressive results that this country stands in dire need of. And so on the balance of probabilities, I would salute Anas for a good job done at the end of the day in the supreme interest of this country. Sami, I was privileged to be among the first batch to watch the video at the International Conference Center when it was premiered for the first time at 3 p.m. I think last Thursday. Is it last Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday?
I think it was Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay. When it was first premiered, I was privileged to watch it, and for some time I was lost.
It was Wednesday.
Yeah. Sammy, I thought, to borrow Kwesi's place, I was in Cuckoo's Land or Komsomolskaya or Mars. Sometimes some of those things just give you the impression that you are in a different world. You can't believe what is going on. When you are seeing naked grafts and corruption, and I would want to segregate them into, of course, those done at the level of those in the lower ranks. We are talking about first our football, before the second part of it, our politics. I think the video itself was rightly segregated into those two broad disciplines, the one on football and the one on politics, and then also the one on the lower levels of officials, and then the kingpins. You can also make that aggregation, segregation of the indulgence of officials in those corrupt acts from the lower levels up to the higher levels. Some you see referees, other match officials, linesmen, match commissioners, sports administrators, and an array of people in our sporting fraternity openly, nakedly falling for enticements as conditions for the performance of their duties. Sammy, just like we had in the one good one appointment syndrome in the MPP in respect of appointments, we had similar things. In fact, there was one referee who went to take a billy goat, and another who took a sheep, rice, yam, and others, and some taking as low as 300 Ghana cedis with the intent to influence the course of a match. We had match commissioners who were taking things in order to even deal with issues of yellow cards, the number of yellow cards, and certain sanctions and certain important decisions that had been taken, whose record was to be very instrumental in determining even the commencement of the league. In fact, it was even said that the case that Great Olympics took to court even came up in the course of this video as a result of some officials manipulating some information. So, you had a whole lot of it. You had sports officials, and when I looked at, I think one of them, the Greater Accra FA representative, money given to him, and the manner in which he even shoved the money into his pockets, meant that he had already even consciously shown this where deep pockets were available to absorb such quantities of cash. Some people, I don't even want to mention the name here, but I was shocked when one of our former member of parliament was shown in a very responsible position, taking some what I would consider relatively paltry amount and allowing himself to be influenced in this matter. So, Sammy, it spoke volumes of the denigration, the sacrifice of our local football, our local sports, on the altar of selfish material gain by individuals, so that our sports, our football in particular, will go down. No wonder, Sammy, the local football in Ghana is sunk so low that people are no longer interested in patronizing our local football. When Barcelona or Real Madrid or Chelsea or Manchester United, Bayern Munich, all those teams are playing, people prefer rather to patronize. And you see even Ghanaians more passionate about supporting those teams, to the point that some of them even come to blows over them, rather than even our own local teams. So it shows clearly that this compromising attitude has contributed significantly to undermining our local sport. Sammy, I also saw a particular scene of an FA official who has been very vocal, and I remember in the course of last year, during under the tenure of the NDC, he had serious running battles with Honorable Nilanti van der Poy, who was the Minister for Sports. And I talk here of Sani Dara. I think he's the spokesperson for the GFA. When I saw his picture in the scene that was enacted, I said to myself, I pray that he is able to resist the offer that is made. Because from what he said and what he had indicated before, it will be a crying shame for him to succumb. Unfortunately, he couldn't resist it and asked that it should be given to somebody to take care of it for him. And I found that, especially when it came to the GFA standing, where issues of corruption had been mentioned in the past. And I mean, I'm also a member of the Youth and Sports Committee of Parliament.
Oh, okay.
So we had the benefit of meeting the FA, and some of these issues came up. And what we were told was completely different from what we saw. And for me, that exposure lent abundant credence to the issue of the complete lack of credibility at the highest echelons of our football. And so, not surprising, we have this very lethargic performance of our local league with us. But Sammy, it is a very long story. I'm sure if we had the whole day here, we can't tell all that transpired. Suffice it to just summarize and come to the core. As I've always said, when diarrhea is going around the house, it is looking for the landlord. And in this particular case, all these matters were gravitating around the supremo of Ghana football, Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi. Now, Sammy, let me situate this discussion, especially the political angle of Kwesi Nyantakyi's presentation. Sammy, I think that he's been at the helm of our football for 12 or 13 years now. And let me not say that for the 12 and 13 years, he did nothing. Let's put on record that at least Ghana went to the World Cup, I think on 3 occasions. One of which we nearly went even to the semi-finals, but for Asamoah Gyan's penalty miss, would have been there. Some other achievements might have been chalked in the course of that reign. But the most damaging aspect of governance under his watch was, as I said, our domestic league. You see, your national teams and others can be stronger. Football in your country can be rated at the global level depending on the strength of your domestic league. Why are we talking of the La Liga in Spain, the Bundesliga in Germany, the English league in the UK? It's because of the consciously meticulous methods they have put in place to ensure that there's competence and there's efficiency in the performance of those leagues. And all of it have to flow from the kinds of arrangements you make, right from officiating, from the regime of match commissioners to all those officials who are involved, to ensure that they are all anchored on respect for the rules and regulations and a certain level of decency. Unfortunately, as I've said, because of the issues of greed and the overwhelming pursuit of material wealth by those at the leadership, the whole system went rotten. So I mean, if the chief himself goes for a weird cut, what would the young man do? He goes for a weird haircut. If he goes to cut punk, would you crew watch your punk? Magunu, how do you call the young people? What would they do? What would the young men do? The Gombas will say, Tuna Chebaba. So this for me is what has occasioned the continuous downward trend in our domestic league, and today brought it to such a sorry state that even commencing the league becomes a problem. So from that background, what the entity sought to do was to go and look for sponsorship. And it was in the course of sponsorship, looking for sponsorship, that this thing came. And Sammy, if you watch the video, the issue of the sponsorship that first came, many revealing things came out. Among others, that the chairman, the president of the FA, has a modus operandi in getting sponsorship and routing it through his companies that he has set up, so that those companies run it, and a certain percentage of that sponsorship goes to the companies that they have set up, using friends and allies. And I find that very, very, very despicable and unacceptable. That monies, people are generous enough to help to sponsor the leagues. Huge chunks of it are cleaned off and not made to go to the target, the clubs and others for whose purpose those assistance were sought. You have, emerging from this one to even the issues of disregard for the financial regulations of the country. You are taking in foreign exchange and big monies, and the laws of this country indicate where those monies are supposed to be channeled. Sammy, all those things are done with abundant disregard. And these untoward measures are taken to ensure that personal gain is put ahead of the collective interest that we went seeking. So it was in the course of getting this, what do you call it, sponsorship, Sammy, that the issue of business interest came. Politics followed. And for me, that is most revealing. And anybody who watches the video will be astounded by the political person in Nyantechi more than the FA person. Indeed, for many people who don't know and who only see him as a football person, indeed, this video will be a mass education. It will be a very, very important education about who the phenomenon Nyantechi is, especially as far as our politics is concerned. And Sammy, that is where, because of want of time, I want to now want to enter. I think that it is out there that the coefficient or a similar near coefficient theory has emerged of a 5:3:2:1:1 ratio. 5:3, in fact, and that's the talk of town now. If you go now, they say 5:3:2:1:1. That he was going to mobilize monies 12 million of in total, 5 million to be given to the president of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, 3 million to be given to His Excellency the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, 2 million for Minister, 1 million for Deputy Minister Anthony Kabo, and 1 million for he and his compatriot Abu. Let me say that after the video, when they ended with Nyantechi, after he had packed all his money in the polythene bag, the $65,000 that was given, and Sami, that was a crying shame. I'm sure you should have seen how the hall erupted in when he started collecting the money, when the so-called sheikh gave him the 65,000. Yes, of course. He was reaping the harvest. And the sheikh gave him the polythene bag and he was putting the money. In fact, one even fell and he put it down and he quickly grabbed it and put it back. So I mean, it summarized the anguish of Ghanaians in watching this thing from the FA. Now, at the end of it, for the record, His Excellency the President was given an opportunity to react to it, and he categorically denied knowledge of what Mr. Nyantechi had sought to do, and that he didn't know anything about it. He had never had his consent. He never had. So, in fairness, it's important to state that. But, Sami, let's get to the basics of the issues. Who is Nyantechi? And I'm talking of the political Nyantechi here. Who is Nyantechi? Is he known to the President of this Republic, President Nana Akufo-Addo? Does President Nana Akufo-Addo know Nyantechi? How does he know him? What is he to him? What relations have they had in the course of their knowledge of one another? Sami, among the many questions that come, and I'm sure the president did indicate that he knows him. The issue is that we have not had direct response in terms of how much he knows him. What is the relationship between he and him? And Sami, let me say without any iota of doubt that Nyantechi is a very well-known man. And I mean very well-known to the President of the Republic. Indeed, there are reports that he's so familiar in the household that there's no obstacle to him coming inside there to meet the president anytime such an opportunity is available. And Sami, it has been buttressed by information to the effect that not long after President Mahama called then candidate Nana Akufo-Addo to concede, a party was thrown for some few selected core financiers and supporters. And the information is to the effect that Mr. Kwesi Nyantechi was one of the few selected people to be honored by President Nana Akufo-Addo for his massive support for him in the run-up to the elections. And indeed, it is also an open secret that Nyantechi had contributed significantly to the financing of the NPP in the run-up to the 2016 election. Something he himself indicated. And indicated in the tape that he is, everybody especially in this government and others, knows him. And that it is possible for him to go anywhere and to open, not only to knock, but to open doors in this government. So legitimate questions may be asked that, notwithstanding the fact that there was no express permission given to Nyantechi to go and do and raise any such funds as he tried to do. But has there been, the legitimate question to ask would, has there been an opportunity in the past where some fundraising or some activity had been taken in terms of getting money to support the campaign of President Nana Akufo-Addo by Mr. Nyantechi that was accepted? I'm sure you get my drift. Was there an opportunity in the past when Mr. Nyantechi must have undertaken some activity, gotten some resources, and used that to contribute to the funding of the campaign of the new patriotic party and President Nana Akufo-Addo? If there was, then it opens up many questions. If there isn't, it constrains the argument. But if there was, and there have been reports that as somebody who had contributed to the funding of the NPP, he actually sent monies. So many questions arise. But the surprising element in this was what? Mr. Nyantechi's in-depth knowledge. Even in the run-up to the creation of ministries, if you watch the video, he says that the president created positions, and the transport ministry was mentioned, that he created positions, posts.
Roads ministry.
No, he said transport. He said transport, not roads. He said they were to make Honorable Kennedy Japan my chairman on the communications committee. They were supposed to make him the a minister of state, but he said that as for him, he is not very disciplined. It's possible that he can overshoot his mouth, so he cannot be a minister. But that a ministry was created so that he could have his way, and it is in the video. I'm not the one saying it. So when I heard that, I was shocked, because I indicated that so the 110 ministers that were created actually has a foundation. That it is possible that ministries and ministers were created at the whims and caprices of individuals and to satisfy certain individual egos and interests. So it is possible that people who have professed to protecting the taxpayer, to protecting the public purse, would undertake exercises to create jobs to burden the taxpayer and ensure that they are only to serve the interests and whims and caprices of individuals. That is one of the things that came up in the tape, in the video. The other thing which came up was that, apart from how these monies were to be shared, was the ease with which, when these monies were given, jobs were going to be made available. In fact, he really indicated that the next day after these monies were paid, it is possible to start assessing the jobs. And he demonstrated intricate knowledge about projects and monies that were coming into the country. He mentioned, for instance, that discussions he's had and foreknowledge he's had with interactions with Dr. Bawunya, Chinese money that was coming. At least 2 billion of it was going to be used for the construction of roads, and that they were going to construct even a road from Techima all the way down to the Burkina Faso, to our border with Burkina Faso. And in that course, for the supply of sand and stone alone, for which he said he and Cabo, the deputy minister for roads, who he said was the source of his information, they could found a company, and out of that, conservatively, if they don't make at all, they make about between $100 and $150 million. So it also spoke to volumes of his in-depth knowledge about projects, about who had the wherewithal to give what. But Sammy, my biggest shock, I have often heard some of these things, but to hear it from the horse's own mouth, because Nyantechi even indicated that even in the next 2 years or 3 years, he was even going to contest elections. It is possible for him to stand, because he said in the video that the NDC had exercised a morbid hatred for him, and that during the NDC he had tried to float a number of companies and to do some businesses, and he was constantly frustrated, and so he never had his way. But the biggest bomb was that he revealed that contractors who were perceived to be NDC and who had done works and who had submitted certificates and were awaiting payment, my brother, if you bid their time, their monies will rot, because he had information that they were never going to be paid by the Akufo-Addo government for the works that they had diligently executed. And so he was aware that those monies will rot. They will not be paid. And I find that to be a very serious statement, if that is true. And Sammy, they say if you don't know death, look at sleep. It is true today that thousands of contractors who have executed jobs under the NDC, whether it's as at the GET Fund, at the Road Fund, at the Ministry or Ghana Education Service, at the National Health Insurance Authority, President Mahama's e-blocks, other important national infrastructure, for more than 2 years now, awaiting payment that is not coming. Let me say, in all fairness, that at the Road Fund, the Minister for Roads has made some efforts, and some payments have been made to some what do you call it, contractors. And I know that the constraints have been that, as a member of parliament where I sit, I know that there has been a policy of this government to cap the funds of statutory bodies like the National Health Insurance Levy, the GET Fund, and the District Assembly Common Fund, and then also the Road Fund. In fact, for the Road Fund alone, it is estimated that over 600 million Ghana cedis has been taken away. So you can see a genuine difficulties there. But nevertheless, thousands of Ghanaians have their monies outstanding in a lot of these areas that I've mentioned. Particularly, so if you go to the GET Fund on a daily basis, you see people weeping on a daily basis about monies they are plight. Some of them have had to sell their property and still they cannot. The banks are on their necks. The banks don't know whether government has paid you or not. I've been saying that the hyena doesn't know the price of a goat. It's only to catch and chop. So they are not interested in whether government has paid you or not. They will come for their monies, and it comes with interest. So there are even reports that a few people have even committed suicide on account of these very serious difficulties they have had to contend. And so for it to come out that it is a matter of deliberate government policy that people who, on account of their perceived affiliation to political parties, are not going to be paid by government as a matter of deliberate policy. Sami, I consider this to be a very serious matter. The constitution of this republic, the laws of our country, forbid discrimination against Ghanaians on grounds of ethnicity, religious, and political affiliation. His Excellency President Nana Addo, when he swore the oath at the Independence Square on January 7th, 2017, swore to treat Ghanaians equally, fairly, not to discriminate against any Ghanaian on the basis of where that Ghanaian comes from, which political party affiliation he holds. And so today, if we are being told in the Nyantechi expose that there is a matter of deliberate policy of the NPP government to make sure that NDC contractors perceived to be NDC will not be paid their monies. Their monies will be allowed to rot. I think Ghanaians must rise up and demand from this government whether, in fact, first and foremost, whether it is true. And if it is true, if the president and the government is not breaching the laws of this country.
All right.
It is very important. Sami, I beg you, one of the things which came up in the run-up to this particular matter, you see, and that is the clever football the NPP has been playing. Anytime they are under siege as a result of the multiplicity of scandals, the unprecedented level of malfeasance that has given the government in their 1.5 year tenure, they try to obfuscate the issues, to draw in issues that are not related to what is it. I'm sure you have heard it. Mm-hmm. That an attempt was made to draw in President Mahama in this particular video that has been shot, the 12th edition. When actually the video was being screened, Sami, that is one thing I was looking for. Because the indication by some even in the public domain was that even they said President Mahama and NDC got $8 million from Nyantechi. So I was very keen to see whether there was any mention. And Sami, thankfully to the end of it, there was not a single mention. These were the two issues of the mention of the NDC. That the NDC left Nyantechi and that NDC contractors, their monies were rot. Those were the two clear references to the NDC. So President Mahama was not involved. Where did the President Mahama thing come from? Sami? And that is the role of the Criminal Investigations Department of the police.
All right.
Sami? I find it very, very despicable that a very important issue such as this, a professional body like the CID, and I want to say without any iota of hesitation that they are very good and competent and professional police men and women in uniform working at the CID and at other departments of the police. And I think that they are doing a very good and diligent job for this country. But Sami, the current leadership at the CID is so grossly unprofessional. Indeed, is so politically tainted and biased that in this particular matter, the attempt to draw in President Mahama has their link. I have never seen and heard, Sami, the investigations commenced by the CID, where a statement written by a suspect, a matter that is supposed to elicit the highest level of confidentiality, Sami, that statement is consciously leaked to a media person. And I'm talking of my brother Evans Mensah of Joy FM to do the story. I have been very reluctant as a journalist to pass wholesale condemnation on colleague media practitioners. But I can see without any iota of hesitation that the job that was undertaken by Evans Mensah was not done to the best of professional ethics. At least even the GGO Code of Ethics enunciates a duty on journalists to endeavor to be fair, balanced, and to approach both sides of the issue, which in this case was not done. So the first question we ask is that how did the statement from in the custody of the CID, which was supposed to be top confidential matter, leaked to the Joy FM reporter? What was the motive for the leaking of that statement of Mr. Nyantichi, where he is alleged to have said that some monies was passed to the NDC and to President Mahama? If you put all this together, you will come to the unmistakable conclusion that the current crop of that leadership in the CID are behaving and doing the work, the dirty work of politicians, especially for this ruling government. So I recall, even when these allegations were made against even the minority MPs, that double salaries had been collected, all the bank account numbers and details of the district before the CID were all leaked and they were published in the Daily Guide from the same CID. And today, a statement that is supposed to be in their custody, allegedly mentioning President Mahama, was leaked cautiously to Joy FM, so that they could play this out and create the impression that even the NDC and President Mahama are also involved, when no such mention was mentioned, no such thing was mentioned throughout the expose given in the announced video. So you ask yourself, to what extent can independent institutions such as the police and others be so compromised in such a manner as to undertake this most unethical, disgraceful job of allowing this concoction to be fed into the public domain? Because the import was to do what? To make sure that it gets caught up in the same NDC MPP football. If you say President Nana Akufo-Addo, $5 million was earmarked for him. Look, President Mahama, they earmarked $8 million for him. What will you say to that? Then in the milieu of NDC MPP, the truth gets sacrificed. The matter gets obfuscated, and before you realize, it's a dead matter. This is damnable.
All right.
And I think that, Sammy, if I get the opportunity again, I'm sure there are other issues that I think I've not exhausted. But that just suffices just to say that this particular matter relating to the dismissals of chief executives, which we are going to discuss, for many was just a clever diversion to take off the heat from the government.
Alhaji,
and ensure that
you get a chance
to
touch on all of those.
Yes, but Sammy, if your secret is in the market, please, you must as well meet your enemy for a discussion on it.
Thank you very much, Alhaji. I'll come to you, Ambassador Sampiale, for your comments on the first issue.
Well, Sammy, good morning, and good morning to all our listeners and probably our viewers. In the first place, I want to congratulate all those who are always seeking to bring unity in the NDC, especially my good friend Kojo Bonsu, Captain Akamba, and the former Chief of Staff for organizing the Unity Works. Today, the last one for the regions is coming on. And I'm urging all NDC faithfuls around that area to go and show solidarity with the peace that we all want to. It is my belief that since this was an open invitation, all aspirant, so-called aspirant flag bearers will take advantage and be part of it not just stay off and come and complain. And when you walk the distance and get tired, I recommend that you take Uncle T's malt. Alhaji, you know, the hunchback that carries a load should not be straightened. This Uncle T's malt has been for this program ever since you and Alhaji Bature started this program. And for me, this hunchback, I will not straighten it, because it has given a lot of Ghanaians the opportunity to listen to issues and understand it more properly than what is done on many other stations. Often people listen to news items and all they say that, oh, on Saturday we'll get all the angles from Radio Gold presentation. And for me, that organization that makes it possible should be promoted. Why is it that those of us who are in the NDC are the Social Democrats, we refuse to buy newspapers that are aligned with social democracy, like the Inside newspaper, the other newspapers like Mike Dokochi's newspapers? Why do we refuse to buy those newspapers? Those newspapers that will let our voice and our story be told properly, and rather patronize newspapers whose owners will turn up to buy buses against us. I'm not talking about boycott of any newspaper, but what I'm saying is that it is good you patronize your own, because charity, they say, begins at home. So I have personally taken over this challenge that any institution that is helping to promote social democracy, like Uncle T's malt, I would support it. Mr. Shen, when I was coming, one of the radio stations was having a very heated debate on the issue of where does Kwesi Nyantakyi belong, like Alhaji, like you said, whether he's an NDC man or MPP man. And two of the participants on that program are MPP people, and they were swearing hell that Kwesi Nyantakyi is not an NPP person,
because he's a damaged goods,
but rather an NDC. And their argument is simply that our Deputy General Secretary is alleged to have made a statement that during the term of office of President late Atta Mills, may he rest in peace, some attempts were made to delve into the issues of the GFA, but President Mahama resisted. And that makes Kwesi Nyantakyi an NDC man. I want to place it on record that until Kwesi Nyantakyi's appointment became, after his appointment, and that further presidents of the FA were to be elected by the FA, all former chairmen of the GFA were nominated. The government would nominate one, and the GFA, the sporting fraternity, will also nominate others. But often the government representative won. So it was in the time of O.B. Amwa as the sports minister and the President Kufuor, he was the deputy sports minister, when Kwesi Nyantakyi was first nominated by President Kufuor to become FA aspirant, and he eventually won. But this should not have been an issue whether Sampi Yale is an NDC man or an MPP man, and if I have committed a crime, that ought not to be the judging criteria at all, because if I've committed a crime, I'm a criminal. But had it not been a precedent set by our president, the current president, when he took his car, drove all the way to the regional House of Chiefs in the Volta region to tell the Volta regional chiefs that they should call their son Williami to order because Williami was disgracing them. And after that, that ball was also thrown and became an albatross on the neck of NDC. I remember on Peace FM sitting there with the current regional minister, Kwamena Duncan, when he first came out with this most now famous Woyome hymn, Woyome. And you remember that hymn? That Kwamena Duncan, embraso, tofufu kosa, tofufu koso. So you can sing another song. The issues that we are dealing with, I'm sure many people have watched the video, and if we have not watched, some aspects of it have been made available to you. And the issues as narrated by my very good brother and friend, honorable member for Zanarigu. Sir, the issues or the facts of the issues you raised are very cogent, starting with that of the referees. And watching the videos, some referees have been bribed with as low as 200 Ghana cedis. That is how cheap our football has become. Now, for me, the issue of the bribery is not the issue, but the effect of the bribery. Alhaji, you will remember that in the history of football in the world, the May 9th episode in Ghana represents one of the most horrifying experience in our history, even as a country. On that day, over 100 people died. And what was the cause of that? The cause of that was that some members of the spectators believed that the referee had taken a decision which was not right. And for that small incident, it triggered a very, very dangerous historical event that we can never clean up or undo. Since Ghana played Uruguay, when was this? Ghana-Uruguay games. World Cup. I have never watched any football match, to be honest, concerning the Black Stars. When I am watching television and it passes 8 years ago, when it is I'm watching the news and it passes through, I'll watch. 2010. But I had stayed overnight watching Azuma Nelson box overnight, but I've never watched Ghana Black Stars since Uruguay, because I could not just simply fathom how Asamoah was so motivated to throw that penalty away. Could it be one of the games? Could it be one of the issues arising of this bribery issue? And I am told, last time I made an illusion that there's a huge betting industry out there. Who goes to bet Ghana would lose this match 2-0, or Ghana must win this match 2-0? And could Asamoah's penalty have been one of these? There's a video circulating, Alhaji, if you have not seen, of our former ace national goalkeeper. That's what was in Kingston. Is it goalkeeper is Kingston? Lai Kingston. No, Richard Kingston. Standing in a church with his wife, making a confession that this is the lady. This lady, he was referring to his wife constantly. This lady saved Ghana from disgrace. And then he brought the wife to come and apologize to her because of what he told the wife and the advice he told the wife. All the players and the match officials were insulting the wife to be a witch. The wife endured it. And what was the issue? That at the time they were going to play the Czech Republic, Czech was the second highest ranked football nation in the world. And therefore, Ghana should lose to Czech. And that if he Richard Kingston allowed 2 goals to be scored, then he would gain $300,000. But if on the other side Ghana won, all of them were going to be given $8,000 or $10,000. So see the difference. If I allowed the goals to be scored, I alone would take $300,000. Madam Richard Olele Kingston's wife, may God bless you. Olele, no wonder you have kept the post for Ghana Blaster longer than any other goalkeeper. And may Ghana, the gods of Ghana and God, the God that we serve, bless you for the decision you took to stand for the flag of Ghana. Because when we beat Czech, our status went up. Again, I have watched a video in which somebody, two Ghanaians, were in London, apparently fixing the Ghana-US match. I want to add this to the work that the CID says that is going to do. Please extend your scope. Investigate the Ghana-Uruguay match. Investigate the claim by Richard Kingston. Investigate the US-Ghana match. And above all, Alhaji, do you remember the issue of Brazil, where match officials, the GFA officials, personally orchestrated the boys to give Ghana the kind of disgrace that we went through? They virtually forced the government to do money laundering, to carry $6 million across in a plane, which is international money laundering. All this has come from the Ghana Football Association. And I want these investigations to be conducted in such a way that at the end of the investigations, Ghanaians will feel happy and confident that something is going to be done. But the way the CID is currently behaving, I don't know for what reason they are doing that. But as a lawyer, I know that most of the issues the prosecutions pick to seek conviction of the accused person come from the accused caution statements. And these statements are supposed to be confidential. It is to be taken in the presence of a witness and at best with the accused person's lawyer. The significance of it is that they want to give sanctity to the record that they are going to use to prosecute. Now, the statement that came from the CID, alleged to have come from the CID, in indicting President Mahama to have also been an accomplice. Is this the statement that the CID is going to tender in the prosecution of Kwesi Nyantakyi? Because if that is the statement Kwesi Nyantakyi is alleged to have made and for which is going to be prosecuted, that statement was never made at all. And it has never happened anywhere. So that one is from to the prosecution is being led to prosecute for no evidence. So that Kwesi Nyantakyi will walk out free. Now, Mr. Shen, as for the facts of the case, we all are very much conversant with it. But apart from the referees, the rot has also ascended to match commissioners and the appointment committees. So the danger, I said I want to adopt the facts as narrated by Alhaji Ebie, but then dwell on the effect of those things. So the issue of the appointment committee, whose duty it is to appoint referees to officiate matches, if they have been so corrupted, between now and whenever I don't know, a match is going to be played, how can the spectators in the stadium believe that the match commissioner or the officials of the game are being fair? And that if for any reason, even if it's a mistake, they will not attack the referee. That's another effect of it. Now, as for Mr. Alhaji And Alhaji, I am surprised that the NPP would even want to disclaim him. Because where is Mr. Kojo Chimbuafu? Kojo, wherever you are, Bajo Boba, come and take your stone. Kojo Chimbuafu and a few NDC people, after taking over, the when the NDC came to power, had an onslaught onto the affairs of the GFA, that the GFA cannot become an untouchable entity in Ghana. All in all, nobody can say anything about them. I remember the sport journalists and all over the country, there were comments, no, we cannot interfere in the GFA issue. And even when a sand and stone contractor was given contract by the GFA to do something very different, we still couldn't touch the GFA. At that time, we called for the statutes of the FIFA. And it was that time that we, who were part of the group, found out that, listen, association football, as far as the GFA is concerned, is primarily concerned with women's football, the league clubs, you understand, and any other games played in Ghana. But we question about who is the owner of the Black Stars, the national teams. That became an issue in abeyance. I'm told eventually FIFA bulged and said that, okay, then there should be a public interest committee. But today, I want to repeat the call that no matter what it is, the GFA, the current one and the future one, cannot and will not be allowed to dissipate government and public funds, all in the name of their what? Indemnity under FIFA clauses. Sir Platter himself is gone, and therefore we as a country will open our eyes very well. It is my friend ABA Fuseni who said that if the mother of the mother himself is 10 cedis, then the chicken, how much are they going to sell it? If Sir Platter himself is under investigation, Alhaji And Alhaji, nobody should raise any FIFA statutes to say that he is under FIFA regulations and therefore he cannot be investigated. For the image problem that we have had with the CID currently, until they come out to deny that they did not issue out that statement to the delegate, and they also did not issue the statement on of the double salary so-called allegation. If they come to deny, fine. But if they don't come to deny, I call for an investigation which is an open investigation under television. Because, Alhaji, it's becoming serious. Some people may be taking the football angle, political angle, but I want to take the Ghana angle. The Ghana angle. As at now, our judiciary is compromised. Our judiciary is compromised. Our Supreme Court, people like Sir John, can insult Supreme Court judges. Our judges, Anas camera went on them. But the question I'm asking is that, why didn't Anas show the video of the judges with the judges before it was aired, for them also to make their comments, as our president was given the chance to comment on that? Our customs and exercise have also been compromised. Our parliament has been compromised, and the media is compromised. Today is our football, which is also being compromised. Gradually, we are undermining every state institution that puts us together as a country. And that is where my worry is, Mr. Shen. Where we have the media, parliament, a parliament which we have so put our trust in. A member of the same parliament is a parliament, this foolish parliament. And I'm sure, Alhaji, don't go even take part because it's not come to anything. A whole member of parliament insults parliament, an institution that you are a member. The following day you go and sit there. And nothing happens to you. It is because we are losing every state institution we have. Elsewhere, if somebody else calls himself a president, sitting by a president, and therefore is able to entice business people to give money to sit closer to the president without security implications, it is not going to happen anywhere.
Your Excellency, you have a call from Diane Unknown is calling.
When this matter is brought up for investigation, before the investigation should be completed, the investigation could be completed, the president himself has exonerated the man. So all the money we spent on that matter showed nothing. Again, we are saying that we are gradually losing interest in our state institutions. Look at the bust. This bust is a very important strategic institution. What it does is to buy fuel in bulk, especially when the prices are low. And then during the crisis, because of the volatility in the prices, then they would release this fuel to us so that Ghanaians will not suffer the way we are suffering now. You appoint somebody, and the first achievement you want to give to your government is that 5 million liters, 10 million, 1, 2, 3 liters, so 5 million liters of fuel is contaminated. To date, as we said, Alhaji, nobody has told us what chemicals contaminated the fuel we have. A probe was set. Before the probe could be commissioned to start, the president had cleared those culprits. I see that is not enough. You see, AB says that the testicle that will grow into hernia, degenerate into hernia, is seen at birth. And he also says that, character is like pregnancy. You wait, it will come out. You see, the man has done it again. We spoke. To date, we don't even know who Muvimpina and who are the directors of Muvimpina are. Again, the president cleared them. So many of us are apprehensive that even in this Yanteji gate, it is possible the president may clear him. I want to ask the president, what in the video did you see which annoyed you or which prompted you to give the video to the CID to watch? Because as a lawyer, you know that Anas was not in any way going to receive the money that the sheikh was promising, because that man was not a sheikh. That man was not going to sponsor the league games. So the money was not going to be received by the presidency anyway. So what in the video did anger the president so much that he asked the matter to be taken to the police? Is it the fact that the president is alleged in the video by Kosi Yantechi that he and his family are broke, and that because he's broke for selling his father's properties, and that is why they need money? Is that the reason why you took the matter to the police station? We want to know, Mr. President, because ordinarily, as a lawyer and a lawyer of your status and as a statesman like you know that if Anas was doing his work, there was no way that money could be realized and be brought to you. So you could not even get the money. So what really asked the president to send the matter to the police? Much has been said about Anas's mode of operation. And some have said he's using subterfuge. Some are saying that he is doing entrapment, but I believe that after the dust has settled, Ghanaians are reacting the way we are reacting because we feel pained that our men in authority should go so shamefully down. That is why we are reacting like that. But I believe that when all these things have settled, we will come to ask ourselves a few more questions that we are asking now. Mr. Shen, the morality attached to the mode of operation is something that the law has settled. You understand? Now, everybody's entitled to his privacy, and therefore you cannot even take a video of me or take a photograph of me without my authorization. Some people have extended this argument to saying that, but if the videos or the pictures taken without your consent, which is a crime in itself, can lead to public good, then we can, interface that and say that which led to the public good is what have to be done. But in this Anas case, Anas does more than that. Anas does more than that. Now, if I am known to be a drug dealer, may God forbid, you understand, and then the police set an undercover agent on me, all that the police will be seeking is that they will look at my movement, you understand, and as I enter into transaction with my very good friend, they will take pictures and then make me maybe arrest me on the spot. They use that, what it is called sting operations. They do sting operations, STING. They do that sting operations, and we as media men, we also do that. But what Anas is doing goes beyond sting operation also, because in the US, for instance, there are several cases where the police, the law enforcement, in order to get conviction for blacks, have planted cocaine and other drugs in their bags so that they will be arrested. But when other forensic investigations is conducted and it's revealed that indeed the cocaine or ammunition were just put in there so that the person will be entrapped, the entrapment becomes a defense, and more often than not, those people are released. This one is not the one that we are talking about. Now, entrapment also in the recent case of UK and Canada was said that if the entrapper puts you beyond your ability, to refuse what is to be done, then you have a defense. You understand? Some of them, they say, if you put a gun, or if the engagement is so high, that you cannot resist, that also becomes a defense. So, for example, if I and you, on two different occasions, Alhaji is giving $65,000, cool money they call it, and some PLA is also giving $65,000. What the law will do is to say that let us an objective assessment of this. To the ordinary man on the street, giving $65,000, what will be his reaction? That is the objective analysis of the situation.
Without your own stature, without taking the stature of the person.
That's right. No, a lot of things will be taken into consideration. But when you go to the court, the jury that is there, if I and you have committed a crime, it's not our jury. They'll bring somebody from Zerelugu and then New Amanfu to sit there without our stature to say that, look, if you, the juror, 65,000 cedis was given to you, dollars was given to you, could you have resisted it? And the jury would do its own assessment and say, no, you should have resisted it because the man is being paid well, and they come out with objective and subjective reasoning. So the law of entrapment is developing. So with time, as this matter settle, we need to come out and decide whether it is, a modus of operandi we want to adopt, or that something else can be done to as it were, arrest such corporates. Now, my worry is this, finally, Mr. Shem. We have the whole of Ghana's investigative machinery now grinding to a halt, gradually. They have so abandoned their responsibilities. You know, I'm not saying they're not doing anything, but if the police CID is going to show any video of an episode, do you think people go as the way people attended analysis video? Do you think so? Why have we so succumbed in our responsibilities that the whole investigative credibility of this country is now resting on the shoulders of one young journalist, Anas? Anas. And the police and the CID have no shame at all. You know, they are so keen to release what? Statements. Confidential statement. A job which you yourself should have done, and you have not been able to do, with all the directors, the CID constable, commissioners, or you have not been able to go and to stop what is happening in the GFA. One single person and his team does it, and you don't stop yourself from disgrace, and you issue some of the statements in the public. Yesterday, I saw a picture saying that the GFA is a crime zone. Nobody should go there.
That's a crime scene.
A crime scene. Nobody should go there. Look at that. The GFA secretariat is just 30 or 40 meters from the police headquarters. Just there, police headquarters. And it takes an individual, you know, to cause that what we are seeing. And now you are taking control in that. I admit that they all have their limitations, and I also admit greatly that they are very beautiful and hard-working, the police and the CID in there. But Mametiwa, my dear darling Mametiwa, you are there to prove yourself as a woman to be remembered. Some of us know you very well. We know what you stand for, and that is when this matter of A+ and your conversation came. I believed what you were saying, that you have been to Kolebu and you think what you were seeing there was bad. That is the Mametiwa I know. But what came after later, I said, hey, Mami, you are dancing, you are dancing with your father. Mami, get up and prove to this country that one day you will be the CID commissioner that Ghanaians believe and trusted. Get up. Why is it that Alhaji ABA Museni, whenever there's a crime and any Ghanaian wants to see a policeman, he's looking for Kofi Boakye? Why? Why is it so? Please, Ghana Police Service, we have seen very, 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 very fine police servicing in this country, and this is not the time to sacrifice it. David, wake up. See, Ghana should be more important to you than any political party, because on the crest of the cap, is the cap they wear, the cap you wear, there's no political party symbol there. It's the logo of Ghana, which is on your crest, and on your chest you display Ghana. Please win yourself from any political party influence and give us the police service that we all will be proud of. We are very happy about your arrest of armed robbers and the rest, but our confidence is waning in the Ghana Police Service. We trust that we trust and believe that when you wake up to do work, you can do it. So we beg you, David appeared to Mamaya Tua. I cannot see how, I cannot believe why a police statement, a witness statement can find its way into the newspaper's pages, and you have not denied or any knowledge of this. I can't believe in that. Finally, Mr. Shen, the government is said to have dissolved the GFA and also closed down their office. I believe in doing so, they are taking a lot of legal advice. I believe also in doing so, they have spoken to some sports lawyers. You know, we started to have a group of sports lawyers when I started as a lawyer. But there's a whole discipline of sports law, which, you know, delves deep into the FIFA statutes. Let us not be swayed by the emotions, and make sure that every step we take along the way has only one mission. And whatever mission is to clean the GFA of the wrath. Build a GFA that we can trust. And the GFA that, and every step along the way, we are working with the FIFA to ensure that everything is in order. We will not anymore accept FIFA's sovereignty over our country. We will not accept it. And in this, what I mean to say is that it is time that Parliament will pass a law of ownership of our national teams, because the GFA does not pay a peswa, and at best they become, you know, parasites. Anytime the footballers are going to play, they instigate the players. Take, if they don't give us 30,000, don't play. So all these issues will be looked into so that we will build a sports architecture where every one of us will become happy with. Today, there's no teams like Hazakes, Wise, Cornerstones, Great Ashantis, Olympics, and all these are affecting us. If the crop of the current Black Star players fades off, who are we replacing them with? Who are we replacing them with? Look at our Commonwealth Games, the Commonwealth Games. In those days, we were using the stadia, Kumasi, you know, inter-schools competition, and we picked our athletes for Commonwealth Games. Do you remember academicals? You know, do you remember how Wafu came? Now our sport administrators are not at all interested in any of this infrastructure. All they are interested is Ghana Black Star. Even when the females are bringing caps, nobody cares about the females. All Kwesi Ntechi is interested is Ghana Black Star. Because you know why he's doing that? Player transfers. DFA player transfers has so become so scandalous that they will go to a village, my village, they find a boy who can play some antics, you know, small, they bring him and put him, and they bribe they bribe their kinds. So even if the player is not matured, they put him on the in the Black Star. The following day they say they have sold the player. So debasing. Instead of saying they have transferred the player, they say what? They have sold the player. Now players have become items for commodities for sale. Player transfer is also something that the government should have to look into. How some of these our young boys have been taken into cold weathers, are being, you know, in India, and there were some there, India, some of Ghanaians playing football, and where they were sleeping, what they were eating was horrible. I, as the High Commissioner, had to go to Calcutta and Mumbai to go and give them money to survive, and some of them, two of them, I had to give them money to buy ticket and come back home, all because some fraudulent GFA staff have sent them there. And the road is only not in the GFA. I hear the National Sports Council too is part of it. And so Chaucer writes, if gold rust, what will iron do? If the National Sports Council, which is supposed, you know, to be regulating the GFA and its activities, itself is part of it. Look at the shameful things they did on the name of Ghana in the last Commonwealth Games. So in the world now, if they say you go to US embassy that you are a journalist, sports journalist, because how would they trust you? That's why I say that I'm taking the Ghana angle. Because today, if a Ghanaian is in the US or the UK and he's mentioned, before then, anytime you went to any place they don't know Ghana, they'll call you Guyana. But if you say Ghana, they say, oh, Black Stars. That's what they will say. Oh, Black Stars. Oh, Asam Wajan, the man who lost the penalty. That's what they say. In all my surgery in India, anytime I went and I introduced myself as a Ghana ambassador, that's what they asked me. Oh, you are the football team. Oh, in the World Cup, they were my second team. Is it the same? Is it the same?
Terrible.
Why are we disgracing this country, Ghana, so much? In any case, Mr. President, when are you going to open the Mahama Terminal 3? When? Is this no longer a case of causing financial loss?
Busy commissioning things that this year, so there is no commission.
You see, Alhaji, we don't have employment for our youth. We don't have money in our kitty. Your predecessor have been insulted. He wasn't that foolish like us. He spent all the money he borrowed to build an airport. It's ready. Go and commission it so that they would employ even your own people. You say you're not going to commission. Your predecessor has built a whole sugar factory, Commander Sugar Factory. It is in my constituency. I'm passionate about it. A whole sugar factory has been built. You say you are not commissioning because you are investigating. And the investigation has taken 1.5 years. And the people of the Central Region, Kisi, Commander, Egwanfo, and Penny, the youth there are unemployed. Yet, Akufo-Addo will not commission the sugar factory. Why? Why would the president not do that? Is he not causing financial loss to the state? Why would we lose so much millions of dollars when a whole hospital that could have been made an international hospital, a specialist hospital at the Legon, has been left to stand there like that? Why wouldn't you complete the Kumasi KJT market for people to trade so that they can generate money to support the KMA? And when they talk about it, what do you say? You tell them they should go and sell cocaine. The women are asking the regional minister, please show us where we can buy the cocaine. What has this country done to these people? Why? What have we done? I rest my case, Ishan.
Thank you for your submission this morning. If you just join us, you're welcome to Alhaji and Alhaji, the mother of all talk shows. I'll come to you, Mr. Pratt, and I'll read your comments that I have with me this morning on the show. Good morning, Mr. Pratt.
Well, good morning. First of all, I'd like to share an observation with your permission and in the hope that it would help all of us. In fact, over the last 2 weeks, I listened to Konkonsa a lot. And each time I listen to Konkonsa, there's a humming sound on the program. It is discreet, but it comes. Sounds like a car which has started, you understand, and it continues over a long period of time throughout the program. Initially, I was wondering why it happened only to that program. Then I got to know, because I listen to the station quite a lot, that it happens also sometimes on the morning show, some segments of the morning show. Now I'm worried because I'm told that it can destroy your hearing. I mean, if you're subjected to that over a long period of time, it can destroy your hearing. Now, it also makes it very uncomfortable to listen to the station, I mean, those particular programs and so on. It's very, very uncomfortable, especially when you're driving and listening. You know, sometimes it even makes you a little dizzy and so on. Now, it is possible that there is something wrong with your machines or your technical personnel and so on. It is possible. In fact, yesterday I listened. It was worse yesterday to Konkonsa. It is possible. In fact, these are called channel noises. In communication, this is what you call the channel noises. But you see, if this persists, people will find it uncomfortable to continue to listen to the program. And you would lose some of your listeners. Now, for listeners who persist in listening to the program, it can affect their hearing and so on. Now, I'm raising this because elsewhere, this has been used by all kinds of forces which are hostile to media. Now, you do this, if you do this, nobody is going to accuse you of violating the right of free expression. If you do this, nobody is going to accuse you of closing down a radio station or a television station and so on. But you can employ channel noises in such a way as to cut down on the number of people who listen to programs and so on. Now I'm saying that it is just possible that your own station has technical problems. But whatever it is, you have to look at it. Because I'm very, very disturbed by the level of channel noises I'm hearing on Radio Gold. It's very, very uncomfortable. And I'm raising this and raising it publicly also because elsewhere, hostile forces have used it. It's been used. This is a well-known technique. You know, you introduce channel noises and so on. It's a well-known technique. So I'm only raising this. I'm just raising the alarm. Maybe the management or somebody will look at it and find out what is it that is causing those channel noises on Radio Gold. I'll finish with that matter. I do hope that something will happen to correct it. Because look, when you listen to Kwankwansa for 30 minutes, I mean yesterday I did it, and at the end of it you tend to feel a little dizzy.
Because of the persistent noise.
The persistent channel noise, it's you know, and it's throughout the program. I'm sure some of the listeners will confirm that this is happening on your channel, and I am very, very disturbed by it. You have to do something about it. Whatever it is that is causing the channel noise is serious, and you have to do something about it. Now to Anas Arumiyao Anas, and what has been described as his expose. Well, first of all, we live in a very hypocritical world. You understand? The world is so full of hypocrisy, it's unbelievable. I mean, today, if you listen to our media, if you listen to our public figures and so on, you tend to get the impression that this is the first time what is on the video has happened. And that Nyantechi is the only person who may have committed such an act and so on. And for me, this is the sign of a very, very high-level hypocrisy. Because what we've seen on that video is not about Nyantechi. It's not about the Ghana Football Association. It's not about the people that we see there. Indeed, it's about our society and what our society has become. I'm sure that if a similar exercise was done amongst journalists, what we would have found perhaps would be more shocking. If a similar exercise had been done targeting just ministers, God knows what we would have found. If a similar exercise was done in the Ghana Police Service, perhaps we would all be shocked to smithereens. If a similar exercise was done to any other sector of the economy, local government, whatever, do you think that we would have seen something different? Why are we such hypocrites? Why have we become such hypocrites? This is the story of the Ghanaian society in 2018. And that's how we ought to see this story. Now, Sammy, the video and the NAS expose is a very complex matter. It is not easy to discuss. It is not easy to analyze for various reasons. it raises several issues about our journalism, raises several important issues about our politics, and raises substantial issues about our social life, and raises many important legal questions which need to be answered. Now, for me, I'm happy that questions about journalistic practice are being raised today. One of the issues which has been raised is simply about the methods which were employed in this investigation. And I've heard some of our colleagues say that, oh, there's nothing wrong with the method. Please read the Code of Ethics of the Ghana Journalists Association and be minded by the fact that this Code of Ethics of the Ghana Journalists Association is not substantially different from the Code of Ethics of other media practitioners any and everywhere in the world. In a Code of Ethics, which was not imposed upon us, which we ourselves agreed that should be binding on us, it is written in black and white that we should not use subterfuge in obtaining information. It is there. Don't use subterfuge in obtaining information. What does that mean? That simply means that you do not present yourself as what you are not in order to entice people to obtain information. Don't use subterfuge in obtaining information. Now, we are lucky that on this panel is a lawyer. And I was going to say that a lawyer that I respect, and I noticed A.B. Fuseni sitting on my left-hand side, and decided that I have to be a little cautious today, unlike last week. But here's a lawyer that I respect, you understand? And he will tell us what the law says about entrapment. It's clear. The law on entrapment is absolutely clear. You don't incite, persuade, cajole people to commit crime. Facilitate. Yes, and use that as evidence against them. And there are many difficulties about that. It is, however, important for us to notice that journalism did not begin today. And that journalism itself has a very rich history. And I think last week I mentioned the case of the Watergate scandal and how the American judicial system dealt with the Watergate scandal. In the Watergate scandal, the American judicial system held that if subterfuge is used, if entrapment is used, and in the final analysis, it helped preserve the interest of the state, protect the states and so on against the commission of crime and so on, it is excusable. That's what the American judicial system said. Indeed, in the United Kingdom, they've had similar cases. The courts in the United Kingdom also upheld the view that entrapment, subterfuge, and others are permissible or are excusable to the extent that they preserve national security and so on. Now, what Anas did as a lay person, as a fellow journalist and so on, I would want to believe, indeed I believe, that it serves the national interest. And from my point of view, it is excusable and permissible. But who am I? That verdict does not lie in my power. And until it is being tested, the controversy will continue to rage. You understand? The controversy will continue to rage. But I do believe that because all of us are saying that this matter should be pushed further, indeed, Mr. Nyantakyi now is facing investigations by the Criminal Investigations Department and so on. I do believe that the opportunity to test the law will be available, and that the law will be tested, and that the appropriate state institutions will make a determination about whether or not the method which was applied in this particular case is permissible or excusable. I'm not in a hurry. We are waiting and we will get there. Now, there are some who have gathered the courage over the years to speak out against what they consider to be entrapment, the use of subterfuge, and so on. Many. Indeed, in the case of those who were caught on tape, prominent people in the judiciary who were caught on tapes and so on, they raised these issues. And I must say that, look, it takes a lot of courage to raise these issues. Because today, whether you like it or not, Anas is a national hero. Public opinion is behind him. To go against public opinion takes a lot of courage and commitment. The same commitment that Anas is exhibiting. You understand? Yeah. But people have had the courage to stand up and say, no, something may be wrong. I'm not in a hurry to condemn those people. I am patient enough for this matter to play out, for the full facts to be established. But I want to make a very important point. One person who has been most vilified because of the stand he has taken in this particular matter is a member of parliament, Kennedy Ejapon. I can understand why some people are very angry with Kennedy Ejapon. First of all, the manner in which he presents his case and so on is sometimes, troubling, worrying, especially being a member of parliament and so on. But you see, we need in all of these discussions to find the principle. And once you've established that principle, you're okay. Establishing the principle makes it difficult for you to make mistakes. And what is the principle in this matter? The principle in this matter is very simple. Anas Arimiyao Anas is a citizen of Ghana. The Constitution of the Republic of Ghana clothes him with rights and obligations. He has a right of free speech and so on. Now, those rights which are available to Anas Arimiyao Anas, which enables him to secretly record public officials and private citizens and so on, are not exclusive to Anas. Those rights are available to all the 28 million people of Ghana if they have the capacity. And those 28 million people of Ghana include Kennedy Ejapon. Don't forget it. He's also a citizen of Ghana. He has the same rights as Anas Arimiyao Anas. So therefore, if Anas can secretly record Nyantakyi and others and play it, why can't Kennedy Ejapon secretly record Anas and also play it? So if it is true, and I don't know if it is true, if it is true that Kennedy Ejapon also has tapes on Anas, and he wants to play those tapes, oh my goodness, he's welcome to play those tapes. Same rights, same responsibilities, equality of citizenship, and so on. He can play those tapes. I do hope that he has those tapes. Because if he doesn't have those tapes and doesn't play those tapes, what will happen to his credibility will be his own headache. His credibility will be destroyed forever. But as a citizen, he has the same rights as Anas Arimiyao Anas. Then there's the issue of, look, what has this video done? And to be honest with you, the first thing that this video has done is to destroy our infrastructure for football. Now listen, on the tape, I didn't count, but those who have counted say that there are more than 60 referees. Well, maybe you counted. More than 60 is 70. You understand? But let's say more than 60 referees involved in this apparent corruption. Now, how many referees do we have in this country? So, if you disable 60 referees, can you continue the league? And if you don't disable 60 referees, what will be the quality of your league? What will be the value of the competition?
You see, it's like holding the tail of a tiger. You can't continue to hold it and you can't leave it.
Oh, you are? You understand? But then we're talking about 60. 60. 60. So are you going to disable the 60 referees? And if you're going to disable 60 referees, how long would it take you to train replacement referees? In any case, if you don't take measures to boost the confidence of the public in sports administration, even if you train new referees and so on, the perception will linger, the impact will linger. So even if you take the case of the referees alone, you have almost completely destroyed the game. That's an important issue for me. Then, I think it was 2 days ago, there was this statement which was issued by the Minister for Information, Mustafa Hamid. And when I read the statement, I was impressed. I mean, well thought out statement, a statement which said that government was taking steps which would lead to the dissolution of the GFA and so on. Because everybody knows that under these circumstances, this GFA cannot function. So if government is taking steps, undisclosed steps, which will lead to the dissolution of the GFA and the reformation of the GFA and so on, so fine, so well and good. Master, in less than 30 minutes, bam! I go to the internet and there is another statement from the Minister of Sports announcing that the president has dissolved the GFA and that all GFA members are sacked and so on. I said, my goodness, where is this statement coming from? First and foremost, there is some controversy about whether or not the president can dissolve the GFA. Because the GFA happens to be a private association of football associations. The president normally does not have any locus, cannot dissolve the GFA under law and so on. And then I've checked, and I'm told that the GFA is registered as a public institution limited by guarantee. No, public institution. Initially, I thought it was a private institution, but I have been informed yesterday that it's a public institution limited by guarantee. You understand? Now, even if it's a private institution limited by guarantee, where is the locus of the president in dissolving it and so on? And I've been trying to find out under what circumstances the president may be able to do that. Of course, there are leeways, there are conditions under which the president, parliament, the judiciary and so on can ban organizations. For example, if the organizations are involved in the commission of crime, you understand? If the organizations, as organizations, not members of the organization. But what has happened? Can we say that the GFA is involved in the commission of a crime? I'm not sure. Even Nyantechi, it needs to be tested. yes, what he has done is morally reprehensible. You understand? What he has done would not stand up to scrutiny anywhere and so on. But today, as we sit in the studio, none of us is allowed to call him a thief or a bribe taker. Because our laws insist that persons suspected of crimes are innocent until proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt and so on. That's what our law says. So, can the president even, on the basis that the president, as president, has powers to stop organizations from committing crime or to ban organizations whose existence are not in the public interest and so on, can he really dissolve the GFA? That's a gray area. However, under these circumstances, the president can take measures, reasonable and lawful measures, which can lead to the dissolution of the GFA. For example, the president can call members of the associations and impress upon them the need for they themselves to dissolve the association. It is possible, and it will be legal and perfect. Now, my problem is I'm wondering why the Minister for Sports said something which is totally different from what the Minister of Information said. And again, it is a mark of a problem which has existed for a long time in this country, especially in recent times. An issue occurs, one minister says one thing, another minister says the other. It is a problem of communications, and it does happen not just in government, but in all other institutions and so on. When there's an issue like this, it's important to hold the widest possible consultations in order to avoid this situation. Now, when the widest possible consultation has been had and conclusions have been made, it is important to have one reference point of communication rather than 2, 3, and 4. And I do hope that this government will learn from this one. I mean, this is not very damaging. It's not excessively damaging. But it can have situations where it can be excessively damaging. And if they learn from this particular case, it will be useful for them. Now, and I'm saying that this case, it has so many dimensions you cannot finish discussing. The other dimension which is important has to do with the mention of the president, the vice president, some minister and some deputy ministers and so on the tape. Now, I think we have to be fair to all the parties involved. We have a duty to be fair to all the parties involved. Nobody saw Kwesi Nyantakyi handing over words of money to the people he mentioned on the video. It is possible that he was just shooting his mouth. It is possible that he was just being boastful. It is even possible that he was making false representations in order to personally profit from his contacts with these people. That is possible. And if that is the case, then we cannot conclude that on the basis of what Nyantakyi says, these persons that he mentions are corrupt or accessories to his apparent corruption. You cannot say that. And I think it's important for us to recognize that. However, some legitimate questions may be asked. And one of those legitimate questions is simply this. Does Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi have any organic or inorganic relationship with the New Patriotic Party? And if he has an organic or inorganic relationship with the New Patriotic Party, what is the extent of that relationship? And how has the party benefited or not benefited from that organic relationship? Is it possible to suppose that Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi at one time or the other raised funds for the party, and the circumstances under which he may or may not have raised those funds for the party. This is a legitimate question. And if anybody asks this question, it is purely legitimate. You understand? Purely legitimate. But you see, there are so many other issues. So many. Mr. Nyantakyi is caught on the tape. And it's so obvious. I mean, everybody who saw the tape saw him. Make the point that if you can put together $11 million, Ghana will belong to you. Yeah. Ghana will belong to you. You can do what you like in Ghana and so on. What is it that made Mr. Nyantakyi come to that conclusion? And we have to bear in mind that Mr. Nyantakyi is not an ordinary citizen of Ghana. President of the Ghana Football Association, a lawyer and a banker, somebody who falsely or truthfully claims to have these huge political connections and so on, and he has managed to come to the conclusion that if you get $11 million, you will control the whole country. Ghana will be in your pocket. Maybe back pocket. You understand? That's exceedingly worrying for me. Even if he's wrong, even if he was posturing, what in hell made him believe that he can say something like this as a means of enticing people to part with monies to him and so on? That for me is quite worrying. You see, apart from the appearance, apart from the appearance, and I'm saying appearance advisedly, that it is possible to cream off some monies which are meant for the national team. I mean, sponsorship. If you set up subsidiary companies which handle sponsorship and they take 25% and so on, you are virtually just creaming off money which is meant for the national team. You understand? But apart from that, if you watch this film, you are also left with the impression that even the selection of players is determined by the size of your pocket or your wallet, even for the Black Stars. And I'm sitting there and saying, my goodness. So what happened to us? Look, I've seen people watch football matches involving the Black Stars, and I've seen it. And at the end of the game, they are totally, completely exhausted. I mean, you think that they are about to collapse. The psychological impact and so on is so damn huge and so on. And to think that people sit in their offices and manipulate these things and so on is really unpardonable. Clearly unpardonable. Now, so you take out merit completely from the football game. And then you can begin to understand why today the local league is in total shambles. You can begin to understand. You can begin to understand why every young Ghanaian sports presenter is hurrying to learn about Liverpool and Arsenal and Real Madrid and so on. And I'm sure that there are some sports presenters in Ghana today who don't even know that Reverend Osei Kofi is still alive and was once such a wizard on a football field. Because Reverend Osei Kofi would not sell. Nobody wants to listen to the legendary story of Reverend Osei Kofi. They want to listen to, what is his name, Lionel Messi, and the other guy. I hear there's somebody in football called Buffon. That's his real name, and so on. Alright? Yeah, there's somebody in football called Buffon. But Buffon and Buffon, they sound similar. You know, those are the things that our people are interested in. And it's because we've run down the game, completely. That is what has led, to this kind of situation. But you see, this week, there have been very serious, embarrassing moments for me as a Ghanaian. And one of those most embarrassing moments was when somebody sent me a voice clip, which I sent to you, Sammy.
Yeah.
And the voice clip said, look, President Mahama was originally mentioned on the tape, and that Anas Arimuyao Anas and Kuku Baku have conspired to remove President Mahama's name from the tape. And that the earlier report which had been mentioned that Nyantechi gave President Mahama and the NDC $8 million and so on is true. And I was very deeply embarrassed. First, by the release of Nyantechi's statement to the media. Most embarrassing development. Here is Nyantechi, who has been arrested on the complaint or orders of the president, and is being investigated for trying to link the president, the vice president, a minister or ministers and so on to corruption. And he's writing his caution statement. And he's not explaining the circumstances under which he went and did the things that he's alleged to have done and so on. He says, even the undercover investigators mentioned to me that they also had some arrangement with the NDC and President Mahama. First of all, the people, even if they made that statement to Nyantechi, even if they did, they were not investors. They were not contractors. They were undercover journalists who had no capacity to give that money to President Mahama. They had no capacity. They have never been awarded any contract. You understand? So that statement, at the issue from the very beginning, is such a useless statement, has no merit. I mean, it's a statement which anybody who gets it should throw into the waste paper bin. But then, and when you sit on my left, I'm unable to say some of the things that I want to say.
Go ahead. You are permitted to go. He's fasting, so go ahead.
Okay.
When you are fasting, you can still look at the name.
No, you go ahead.
But this story is carried by a respectable medium. It's carried by a respectable medium and given credibility. And in fact, the journalist who allowed himself to be misused and so on is not a small journalist. It's a respected journalist in our community. So what happened? Why this? And all the questions which have been raised about this leakage are legitimate questions. My friends, listen, this statement, and I've been arrested before, not once, many times. I've written caution statements in my life. The police will bring you the statement. You write your caution statement in the presence of your witnesses. When it's finished, they take it away. You are not giving a copy. There is some statement that I wrote to the police in 1983. I wish I could get access to it. That's going to be an important part of a book that I'm working on. But I can't. The police take the statement away. They don't give you a copy. So only the police have custody of the document. So if that document is leaked, it will be leaked from the bosom of the police. Now, who in the Criminal Investigations Department decided that this matter should be fed to the public, and what effect was intended? It's a sad day for policing in Ghana. Sad moments for policing in Ghana. And I'm deeply, deeply worried by that blatant, shameful attempt to smear former President John Dramani Mahama, an innocent man. And I'm so ashamed of what happened. But it has happened. And look, no matter what we do, we will never get to the bottom of this matter. Unless perhaps There's an angel who is called Atafiri or something. Yes. Yeah, but Binim has other colleagues. One of them is called Motafri or Mokafri or something. You know. Unless they intervene. Because if they don't intervene, we will never get to know the truth of this leakage. But it's very sad. It's one of the clearest indications that our police service is not acting professionally, and that it is doing the bidding of persons who will profit from damaging the reputation of some political leaders in this country. And I'm very, very sad, about this development. But you see, after everything I've said, I think it is absolutely important to pay glowing tribute to Anas Arimuyao Anas. He clearly has displayed exceptional courage, really exceptional courage. And I would explain. Look, what he has done would cause pain and hardship in many homes and many offices.
That's already.
Indeed, what he has done would affect the lives of many innocent people. Why? If Nyantechi has children, what crime have they committed? If he has children. And yet, these children, if you don't take care, will not be able to go to school for some time, or their schools will have to be changed. Because they cannot stand and face their colleagues, students, and peoples who will tease them, who will make life unbearable for them. In fact, some of them, their academic performance will fall. All of these who are captured on the tape, they have wives. What do you think is happening to their wives? If their wives happen to be traders in the market and so on, can they go to the market and face their fellow market women and so on? So it will have devastating impact on people's lives and so on. Now, Anas, I happen to know him quite a bit. And Anas is a very, very smart young man. He's fully aware of these consequences. And to be able to be aware of these consequences and to proceed is an act of courage. Quite apart from this act of courage, which shows him ready to bulldoze his way through all kinds of things and so on, in order to establish facts which may lead to the public good and so on, he himself doing this. Why? There are places in Ghana today, Accra here today, or even in other countries where Anas, if he's discovered, his life will be in danger. I have no doubt at all that his life will be in danger in many parts of the world. And yet, he decides to do it. What an exceptional act of courage. And no matter what we say about his methods and whatever, Anas deserves tons of commendation for his act of bravery and courage. You understand? Now, Mr. Ishan, I want to end. You see, this video, this documentary, and so on, what is its value? If it ends up as an entertainment video that people troop to various centers to go and watch and laugh and clap and exclaim and so on, that is a useless enterprise. If it's just an entertainment video. But if it will lead to substantial reform, not just in football administration, but into the national life, then it would have been productive and useful. Then it would have been productive and useful. So it is not sufficient just to watch the video, but it is important that this video is used in order to bring about reform. Now, on the day that the video was going to be shown, Ebi, Kanana. Some public sector chief executives were dismissed. Somehow, people think or say that this is linked to the video and that it is part of the effort of the government to fight corruption. I totally disagree. Unless you haven't read the letters that relieved them of their post. The letters did not accuse any of them of corruption. The letter simply said that they were being removed in order to create the conditions for the restructuring of their organizations. So how can that be removal for corruption? They have not been accused of corruption.
That's the second issue we'll be coming to.
But maybe if you allow me to finish, then I can go because.
No,
so I should stop.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Master, I'll stop.
Because
I have some serious commitments. This
we have 30 minutes. We have 30 minutes to end the show, so I'm sure. The show is partly brought to us as earlier announced by TT Brothers. You find them at the Ankoti House of the Tema Aflao Road and at Nungwa Barrier Maracuja House on the Tema Beach Road. And you can call them on 050-139-63778 or 050-139-6377 or 0303-304-482. They are the distributors for these products. Very high quality products that I have been drinking myself, and I'm talking about the Ankoti Premium Malt. Now, the Premium Malt is a non-alcoholic malt drink, provides extra energy and vitality. It's best served chilled, and it's available in 330 ml, and it's produced in Poland. And available in all leading supermarkets and stores. They also distribute the Ankoti Sangria wine, a sweet, refreshing Spanish red wine, and natural fruit extracts. The quality of the sangria is such that you can drink it on its own or over ice without having to add any additional liquor. It's available in 750 ml, and it's got alcohol percentage of 7%, a product of Spain. And finally is the Ankoti red wine, a 13% red wine produced with grape selection from old wines grown in Spain, a blend of Cabernet and Merlot, Malbec, and Garnacha Tinta grapes that have been aged in French and American oak barrels to mature the color, structure, and the aroma completely. It's a table wine with delicious crisp, enjoyed anywhere, anytime. They are the proud sponsors of the show. So I'll go ahead and read a few text messages we have this morning. This one from Berry Bash on Twitter says, NPP is a disgrace to Africa. And this one from Mark Dese says, Samir, what Mr. Pant is saying about the channel noise is very true. I usually use my phone for the listening, and I have experienced that noise for several times, which resulted in changing of hands-free for several times and even changing of phone. Please do something. Patrick Aaron says, I totally agree with Mr. Pat. Indeed, this is why I was trying to call Radio Gold yesterday. In fact, management need to take urgent action to resolve this issue. Good morning. Eric tweets and says, hi, Uncle Chrissy is right. I had to stop my car to check where the noise was coming from, only to discover it's from the channel. Aaron Odua makes a tweet and says, I'm looking for the day any of the national security and investigative agencies in the country will carry out investigations of such level on public officials. Habib Insaom tweets and says, the magnitude of corruption, thievery, stealing, and daylight robbery mounted on the good people of Ghana by Akufo-Addo and his associates is unprecedented. Nyantechi is a good friend of Akufo-Addo, so he knows just much more about the $5 million. AU Farouk says, it is sad and sad our beloved GFA has been engulfed with corruption in so many ways. May Allah have mercy on us under this clueless government. This one says, still waiting for the witness. And analyze things very carefully, and you realize that the presidency intended helping Nyantechi, but because of his greedy nature, he still persisted. Not until FIFA came in, he wouldn't know he lost everything. As for rule of law, we must all enforce that. From Robert Bomita. Delanyo Agbe is some Mr. Nyantechi's resignation was long overdue. Characters like himself would always, characters like himself should never go near an organized sports again. This one from Vincent Saki says, if you don't necessarily trap these thieves, you will never unravel their misdeeds. If you give them prior notice for your investigations, they will cover up their crimes. So for me, Anas's method will always resonate with me. Those are a few of the comments that came through on Twitter. Let me read others as well that I got through Facebook and Okay, let me get the first Facebook one. This one from Starring Wendell says, Sam, you see, Mahama should have used Justice Jamefe's Commission of Inquiry to nail Kwesi Nyantakyi in that unfortunate Black Stars Brazil 2014 debacle, but the powers that be vouch for him. And this is where he has landed as a global laughing stock. This one from Charles Inyame. Charles says, so what will it profit Ghana if Nyantakyi resigns, but Akufo-Addo and his boys still stay at the highest office? To me, Nyantakyi's resignation is meaningless unless it's followed up with a total resignation of Nana Akufo-Addo, Bawumia, and all those implicated in the video. Nyantakyi was never bragging. He actually knew what he was talking about. And that's coming from you. Enoch Tete Kwame says, good morning to you, Sammy, and to your panel members. I think now the Anas expose has caused damage. The NPP government as incorruptible government, and they are trying hard to tag the former President Mahama in this big shame. But who God has blessed, no one can destroy. That's yours, Professor Kwame. I used to cut tweets and says, who said Nyantakyi was just bragging? In the video, Nyantakyi secured sponsorship from Xylophone Cash. He took the CEO to meet the president. Subsequently, the CEO was among government delegation to Houston, Texas for an oil and gas investment summit. We all know the CEO of Xylophone has interest in oil and gas. We also know that he has issues with Bank of Ghana. And I still don't understand why some people want to play this game safe. When it is Nanado, it is bragging. But when it is Mahama, it is factual. Say no to hypocrisy. That's from Prekese Kwame Aristocrat. Musa Abatua says, I wasn't jaw-dropping when I heard government is dissolving GFA, though government can't make omelette without breaking eggs. But it has to move further to prosecute those who were caught extorting money, including some government officials in the Anas expose. Nyantakyi alluded to that. The president sold his properties to win the election, so his family is very broke. A very lengthy one. I'm sorry, but I'm unable to read all of that. Good morning to you, Eshen, and to your respected panelists. NPP Ghanaian shall not fall on any diversionary tactics of the fast-sinking Akufo-Addo via sacking of some CEOs. The Kwesi Nyantakyi corruption scandal at the president is still fresh in our minds. That AU Farouk's own coming through. Those are a few of the text messages I can share with you for now. Murtala Mohammed sends the comment, I just finished watching the video and there is nothing, absolutely nothing to it that is suggestive, even in the remotest sense that Anas demanded bribe whatsoever. I guess as a last attempt to cast doubt on Anas's integrity and deflect public discourse on the scandalously embarrassing complicity of President Akufo-Addo and his government in the benefits and the spoils of Kwesi Nyantakyi as exposed by Anas. They can wash the president and his super corrupt government with all the perfumes in Arabia, and he and his government will still be smelling of corruption. I must add, yes, President Addo did not invent corruption as famously stated by President Kufuor. What President Addo has done, he has perfected corruption. That's coming from Comrade Murtala Mohammed on the show this morning. So we move on to our final issue. Just 20 minutes left for us. If we would all be mindful of our time, I'm sure we can say one or two before the show comes to an end. I'll start with you, Ambassador Sampi Ali.
Well, just because before we go to this topic, I want the police to remember that $65,000 is supposed to be with Kwesi Nyantakyi. That money, he collected it. What we say, he harvested that money, and therefore there's evidence enough on the video. So the first question is, where is that $65,000? Again, there have been other sponsors like the Glue sponsorship, the Xylophone sponsorship, and the previous other ones, and we should want to know which media or which organizations were set up, you know, as the middleman agent for setting up those schemes, and then who collected what and what percentages, because they all should be subject of criminal investigations. From the way things are going, a lot of money has been screamed off the Ghana Black Stars. The other thing I want to ask, because you see, Japan may be doing, has the right to also come out with a video on Anas, but Anas is not a public figure. You understand? And then his attack on the late MP's wife, that he's having an affair with him, is not of public interest. And the woman's husband is dead, and unless he's connecting to the fact that Anas knew how the man was killed, that could be a public interest issue. Now, as to the question of the GFA being a private or public institution in Ghana, whatever it is, take it. I mean, you know, under companies law that all the various forms of business organizations are registered under the laws of Ghana. They are all registered under the laws of Ghana, which means that all these laws, all the laws of the GFA are subject to the constitution, you know, subject to the company's code and any other customary law and any other law in Ghana. So it doesn't in any way legally exclude them from being scrutinized. That's the reason why when the DKM issue happened in Sunyani and those areas, some people, instead of calling the government to hold that DK, the MPP cleverly telling that this was a company belonging to Mahama, you know. But even that, you know, anytime there's a public institution like the Pyramid and the rest that are set up to dupe with the intention of duping Ghanaians, the state has a responsibility to halt in the interest of the public peace. Okay, now
except that in this particular case, it is difficult to establish that the GFA as an institution committed those acts.
Those crimes.
Yes.
Or the crimes were committed in the name of the GFA.
They could have been committed in the name of the GFA by individuals who had no mandate so to do.
I quite agree with you.
Yes.
That the GFA is not a subject matter of dispute. The subject matter of dispute is his president. Yes. And then it's possible that he has used his person and personal interest, you know, on the avalanche of the GFA, what is happening there. You know, and you are Kofi, you are not a sports fanatic like me. You are not. But I am told that apart from Mambo stars, you don't know any other team. You know, but you see, from what is happening, it's like nobody else can say anything in the GFA apart from Kosi Ankiti when it comes to matters of GFA. So let's see how it goes. Now, Master, let me continue with my analysis and say that almost every institution in Ghana is gradually being undermined, and the president has just recently added 4. The Ghana Ports and Harbour Authorities is the maritime linkage we have, the giant in the West African maritime thing that we have. And the Ghana Export Promotion, its importance to this country cannot also be underestimated. That is also being undermined. Kolebu Teaching Hospital is also a medical giant. So the medical field is also attacked. And almighty bust, the oil industry is also affected. So add this to the list of number of national institutions whose credibility has gone bankers. And with these 4 institutions that we have mentioned, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, we used to have a young, dynamic man who transformed the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. I've forgotten the guy's name. They even came to me in a delegation in India under President Mahama. And when he came, Paul Ansan was his PRO. He was part of it. And after taking them through what they had come to do and then attending a few meetings with them, I know that Ghana's port services were going to go somewhere. Change of government came, and the following day, the PRO has replaced CEO. You know, one thing that I always don't want to say, but today I will say it, is the kind or the level that we have fallen as a country. Today, if you do a quality analysis in terms of job fit, person job fit, Alhaji, if they made you a minister for communication, the puzzle will square up, isn't it? Because you are a newsman, and with your long knowledge and experience, your academics that you have added, you can easily be made a minister. But it appears that some people have come to believe that it is only when you join the political train that you can be made a minister. And some also even believe that by joining the communications team, you achieve the limelight and become the minister. Fine, if that is the way you want to go. But in due course, your efficiency will give you up. This is a man who I believe may not even have prepared himself to the position of a chief executive. What I'm telling you is the last time I was in India was December 2016. And he was a PRO. The distance between the chief executive and the PRO is quite big. And all of a sudden, for whatever reason, he may have given the NPP more money. Or from where he comes, as you we need somebody there, so topple that information. Yes. Topple that man and put him there. You understand? And particularly with the Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority. Recently, the unions and the senior staff associations have come out making very damaging and damning allegations against their board chairman. One of the allegations was that he has decided to link his wife's business of air tickets and other things, traveling tickets and everything for the wife. Elsewhere, this ought to constitute a major case of conflict of interest. They say that he's putting pressure on them to do what ordinary management does not want to do. He took the matter to court. The matter has not been resolved in court yet. It has not even been called. No, the hearing notice has not been given. Then all we hear was that the man has been removed. I read a portion of the letter which says that apart from the fact that we don't want to work with you, go and take your 3 months salary in lieu of notice. Nana Asante Bediucho, you are a lawyer. You know that somebody who has gone through the public service and be employed, that is, if Mr. Ansah actually went through the public service, there's a law in the public service, a clause in the public service like that, until you prove cases of inefficiency, bad faith and others, you cannot remove a public servant like that. You should know that your authority, your power of riding convoys to your house with 930, you are riding 13 cars with police ammo. Your power, that power you have, does not include, riding over the public service law. It's about time that the public service servants in this country are protected. You see, Alhaji, the inefficiency we are seeing now, the spate of corruption we are seeing now, some of them are recklessness. The man came in as a serial caller. Excuse my language. He came in as a party financier. He came in as a whatever, and he's put for his price. He's given such a big position. He brings his special assistant, nullifying the efficiency of the chief directors. So
but have you forgotten? Not too long ago, Clocksack.
Yeah, raised that.
Even at the finance ministry alone, as many as 30 special assistants and others, yes. Not by the finance minister. Therefore, so it's happening all over the place. It's not new. So what this minister there could have been a lawyer, isn't there? He has nothing to do with works and housing. He has nothing to do with roads. He has nothing to do with anybody, not any ministries. That is not his specialty. Okay, but you put him there instead of allowing him to also depend on the chief directors and the rest. You push you tell the chief directors very full go away and put your special assistant. The special assistant himself was just a party constituency executive who did not know anything. I'm not saying this only for NDC. It's for both NDC and NPP. So if you do human resource analysis, you will find out that we are putting wrong people in the wrong jobs.
And that is the question, the reason why we're having several millions of cities going to loss, being lost. So when President Bawumia said that we have saved money in this procurement agency, I laughed. Because if your ministers have made a mistake, you understand, or fraudulently put figures which have been seen by the procurement authority to be wrong, then tend to say that have made savings.
Oh, Ambassador.
You know, and the one that is really, after the boss one, he has his own cross to carry. But the one that is worrying me is the man from Kolebu. You know, because Dr. Anya, because when he was employed, and people complained about his age, then people said it was not about age, but it's about what the man can do for the country, for the Kolebu teaching hospital. And I'm informed that the man is doing well. Only yesterday there was a demonstration. I hear the man is doing well to plug the potholes. So if the president is dismissing him because of his age, then Allah Kobalo, that is our friend who is 65 years, the matter bring up Kamo. You see, Abi, I don't know who your grandfather was, but he said he must be prayed. If somebody want to climb, the farmer want to climb the tree, the higher it goes, the more the bottom.
The
monkey. The higher it goes,
the more exposed the
bottom. Now if you are using somebody's age, 65, Allah Kobalo, that is another one. So what do we do?
All right. Ambassador, I'm grateful for your submission. Alhaji, this one 10 minutes.
Sami, I beg you.
This one 10 minutes.
I will take some part of Kwesi Pra's time.
No, he's not giving you.
If he doesn't give me, if he says something again, I'll come back.
You give me 10 minutes for me.
Sami,
10 minutes for me.
Sami, you see, if you are in a group and you are all standing erect and one person alone squats, and they find something on the ground later, who put it there? You see, inexorably the conclusion will be that the man who squat, because to do that you have to squat. All of us were erect, we are the only person who squatted. That is why credibility and people who get around you matters most. The president's statement after the video was clear that he neither consented to nor even gave any permission. That may be fine. But the persons around him, that he has, by clear association and this, giving them some authority, giving them some credibility to do this. Look, recently, I think it was this CAF, is it the CAF boss who came down, the one who was given the honorary degree at University of Professional Studies. You remember? When he came, he whisked him straight to the president. Easy access. I've been saying that they are founding members of the MPP who are waiting to see the president if they can't see him. Young Texas can see him with cheeky ease. Chokwesi, you cannot relish omelette and detest the breaking of eggs. If you relish omelette, eggs must be broken to make the omelette for you. You can't. Okay? So I will come to this other issue you mentioned about the letters that were waiting. But I just need to state some position of the minority in respect of the CID. The minority's position has taken a position clear and unmistakable, and we've made it public, subject to the authority of the leadership, particularly the minority leader. I speak for the minority, and I can say without any utter offense that we have declared a vote of no confidence in the current. And let me emphasize that in the current leadership, I'm not saying the CID per se as an institution, but in the current leadership of the CID, because they are hopelessly compromised. Anybody who listens to the A plus tape, where the unmistaken impression was given that this is our party, this is our government, we have to do everything possible to make sure that we patch up the government and not to embarrass the government. So the issue was manipulated. Sami, if you have ever been beaten by a snake and you trip over a worm, you'll be apprehensive. And so that is why for us in the minority, the current leader at the place is not properly anchored to do a very independent, diligent and dispassionate job of this matter. She cannot. And so that's why the minority, we've taken a position that we don't have confidence in anything good coming out of the under this current dispensation. We are not like the MPP passing wholesale lack of confidence. They even said when they were in opposition that they have no confidence in the entire police service. We, the entire security services, including the military and others, we are not going to say that. I will stand here on behalf of the minority and say that they are very good, diligent, even within the ranks of the CID. Officers who can come and do a professional, diligent job. Because we have seen evidence of what they have done. Even people have been buried under building and concrete ways over them. The CID and police, they manage to find us. So we have very diligent and competent professional police who can do the job. But the current level is too compromised. In fact, this is political CID who are doing the work. They are just doing the bidding of politicians. And I think that one is not acceptable. I also want to say on behalf of the minority that this participation in this parliament taking over this matter and dealing with it is a non-starter. Our members are not interested in it. Kwesi, I can say, Sami, I can say without any doubt that it's a moot point. You have names of the president, vice president, some other people mentioned in the team. Is parliament going to summon them to appear before the House to answer questions? How much of investigations can you do to the point that you can get all these people to come and testify? So it is important that as a minority, we realize that we will not allow ourselves to be put in a position where you will be used to whitewash some debt. Obviously, it's moot, and especially in the light of the resignation of Kwesi Nyantakyi and the FIFA sanctions that have been pronounced. I think that is anybody still using this parliamentary ambit to try and get to the bottom, which is like attempting to fetch water with a very wide open basket.
So, if I understand it correctly, what you're saying is that 7-member committee, you're not going to...
No, I can assure you that our membership will not be active participant. Our membership will not be active in that committee. So I can just tell you, the example, like you say on the cash for seats and others, I think that they are I said that if you don't know death, look at sleep. Now let me come, for want of time. There are many issues to talk on this issue. But Kwesi mentioned something I want to come back. He indicated that some people are saying that the dismissal of the 4 chief executives were done on a basis of corruption. Kwesi, I want to say that is true. If that is what the NPP are saying, that they dismiss them because of corruption, so that they can do their anti-corruption campaign, that is good. So what is the next step? If they are complicit in acts of corruption, what do? They must refer them straight to the law for the law to deal with. When somebody is complicit in corruption, you don't write letter and say that, go home, that's the end. Especially for a government that touts its anti-corruption credentials, that you are committed to fighting corruption. And then you say that there's corruption, then you write to somebody, master, go home and sit down. And when, not only that, the man who is corrupt, you are asking to, he should go and take 3 months pay in addition for being corrupt. So you are paying people for being corrupt. You see, your people, they are saying go and take 3 months. Me myself, yes, that's what you said. That is what came up. In addition to that, we are paying them 3 months. You have to wait until the end of the month. You take 1 pay, 1 month pay. They are going to pay them 3 times for being corrupt. What is that? What are you doing to the good people of this country?
You mean Kwesi's people?
Kwesi's people. So this one, I don't think this one is an acceptable explanation. Sammy, look, Sammy, the minority, as far back as last year, we had credible evidence of serious acts of corruption at Bost. Indeed, we even had some of the handwritten. This one of the chief executive, we raised this at press conference after press conference and told the good people of this country how this nation was being bled profusely at some of these institutions. We mentioned, Sammy, if I'm going to count us in the minority, the number of things we've mentioned, Sammy, you can't. We started, you have the Ken Bond, you have the Bost, now you have the issue of the ports, okay? You have Metro Mass. You have this Ghana Export Development Authority. You have the
The fisheries.
GATA. Then you have the fisheries, the premix fuel thing. You have cash for seats. You have the Australia Gate. You have the what is this? Kolbu had mentioned. Then you have the Flagstaff. The Flagstaff house thing that was mentioned, that got to Madam Tiwa, and this whole thing was one. Look, if you are going to count, they are in dozens.
28 so far. 28 so far.
That's a conservative estimate. In dozens. A lot of which the minority has brought to the fore with credible evidence. You know why? The sad thing is that the presidency became the clearinghouse. All these other things. I remember in Boss, when His Excellency the President met the media, the matter came up and he said, oh, they had investigated the matter and found that the man was hardworking. That not only was he efficient, he was hardworking and doing his work. He showered praises for him. Just how many men? When did they hold the press conference with the media? Somebody who was praised as hardworking and very efficient. Within how many months are you asking him to go home? Do you believe in what you yourself you are saying? That this is a very corruption-free person. He's hardworking, he's efficient, he's producing resource. Are we not looking for people in our state institutions who produce resource? The man is producing resource and you are asking him to go home. Look, listen, look, Sammy, I produced something which has been said by Honorable Kennedy Japan on this dismissal of the boss. And he says, and I quote, he said on Net 2 yesterday, Kennedy Japan on his own Net 2 station, he said, quote, MPP should dare me like they did to Alfred Obeng. I will disgrace the party. Did they know how much Alfred Obeng contributed to our party prior to 2016 election? That guy, that guy, Asenche, did he know the money I brought to Kumasi was given to me by Alfred Obeng? If MPP want to bring me down, I will also bring the party down and tell how the 2016 election was won. We didn't win it physically. I'm telling you today, MPP should dare me. I will reveal every secret about the 2016 election.
You know already, so.
So, Kosi, you see the issue of contributions. That's why we're saying that the people around you who are mobilizing funds, when they bring the funds, you take. But yet, when something comes and they say that you disown them, this is the point that we are making. And so, Kosi, I want to take your corruption bait. That they fire them on account of corruption. Even though I also heard that one of the letterheads they wrote, they are in a hurry to dismiss Flagstaff House. But I heard that.
That's what I did last week. You fled out.
Yes.
And you are doing the same thing.
You know that I have a justification for doing that. And that one of them was written on the letterhead of a Flagstaff House. But let me come to one other one.
Flagstaff House will never die.
Sammy?
No.
Yes. Sammy, let me tell you this issue which is so curious, bizarre by this government. About less than 2 weeks ago, the workers, and Excellency Sampi Yali mentioned it, workers of the Ghana Post Harbors Authority held a press conference and detailed massive fraud, corruption, allegedly perpetrated by the chairman of the board. That he had turned the whole Gapoha into a family fiefdom, where they are making the enterprise. And according to them, he has set up, according to the workers, 7 companies. 5 of them stevedoring companies, 2 of them cleaning companies. Ticketing has been given to his wife, and according to the workers, they are selling tickets to them at cutthroat prices. His 3 children have also been brought to Gapoha. Never in the annals of our country's history have we had this kind of crass nepotism.
Instead of investigating,
Class nepotism. What has happened to the complaints of the workers? Has any investigation been commissioned by government to go into the veracity of the allegations the workers are making? And before you have had time to really investigate this matter, the chief executive is sent home Because apparently they said the chief executive had failed to sanction some of the workers who left Tamaport to go and attend the press conference at Takoradi.
Union activities?
Yes! That is the word out now. So, in the sense, the chief executive is being sanctioned for allowing workers to leave Tema to go and attend the press conference in Takoradi. When the subject matter of that press conference, the allegations of massive corruption and this allegedly perpetrated by the distance, it's not being tackled. The government has not paid one bit of heed.
Alhaji, you would have to pause here for me and let me listen to Mr. Pratt.
Sammy, you are not pausing me. You are cutting me.
I can't say cut.
No, but how can I pause? When I pause, the moment you say pause, it means I'll come back. Is that that? If I interpret your pause, it means you allow me to come back. Then you are not pausing me. You are cutting me.
Yes, we will continue. The pause is
you see, I know that after Kwesi came and whispered certain things, you will cut me now.
Alhaji.
I'm in trouble.
So, the last thing I will end is that, you see, Sabi, when you send your son to the hereafter, he will return, but you will not recognize him.
Thank you, Alhaji.
Okay. Well, look, there's not much time. And the point I like to make is that the dismissal of these chief executives cannot, under any circumstance, be seen as part of the NPP's effort to fight corruption or the president's effort to fight corruption. I've read the letters dismissing or removing them, and in none of those letters is the allegation of corruption repeated or made. In fact, all of them were asked to go home pending the restructuring of their institutions. You understand? And it will be strange if the very people who have been cleared by the president and the state security agencies are now accused of corruption. Let's take Boss. The speculation is that he's being sacked because of the contamination problem and other problems and so on. Why? The president at a press conference stated that the matter had been investigated and no wrongdoing had been established. How can he sack him when he himself says that no wrongdoing has been established? If you take the Ghana Export Promotion Council and so on, why? The president has not spoken on the matter. But when the allegation broke, all the communicators of the New Patriotic Party were busily defending Madame Gifty Klana and her deputy and so on. So if the party says that she has not committed any crime, she's not involved in any act of corruption and so on, how can we then assume that we're being fired because of corruption? One of the removals is a bit difficult to understand. You understand? Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, in fact, all of them are difficult to understand. What kind of restructuring is taking place in the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Kolibu Hospital, the Ghana Export Promotion Council, BOST, and so on, and they're all taking place at the same time. Restructuring of all these institutions are taking place at the same time, and we are not told what the restructuring is about, and so on. But you see, as mentioned by Alhaji And Alhaji, if you take the GPHA problem, this CEO, since he took office, I have not heard of any allegation against him. Nobody has accused Paul and San Asare of corruption or maladministration or anything. Indeed, it does appear that he's loved by the workers. He's the darling of the workers. And in fact, I'm hearing that since his removal, the workers have been very, very unhappy, and so on. So his removal is a bit curious. You know, what is it? Why is he being removed? Well, you can do a speculation. I don't want to do a speculation.
Mr. McMillan was Nana Akufo-Addo's campaign manager.
Ebi, I beg you, who want to go there? I don't want to.
you are attacking.
Your campaign manager, somebody is there disturbing your campaign manager, and you think that you give him the.
So you have concluded that is why you are sacked. Okay. I cannot come to that conclusion.
The reason why you say they've given it's not tenable. They are doing this strategy in what is at the same time.
But haven't I said that?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So we're saying that it's not tenable. So if it's not tenable,
I'm saying that first of all, it is strange that all of these organizations are being restructured at the same time.
So it's not tenable.
And it's also strange that we are not told of the type of restructuring which is occurring.
Exactly. So this is the answer.
And then again, the man who has been dismissed from the Ghana Press and Harbours Authority so far appears to be clean. No allegation has been made against him.
Yes.
You know, the workers appear to like him. The port rehabilitation project is going on unimpeded and so on. So what is the reason for his removal?
That is what I've told you.
You know the reason. I don't know.
They won't tell you.
Yeah, okay. And then Kolebu. I mean, the only controversy that I know came about Kolebu had to do with the controversy involving Unibank as a collector of, how do they call it? You know, some revenue and so on. And that is what A+, who I understand, I don't know for a fact, but I understand is a special assistant to Dr. Anya, raised. That's what I'm told. I've seen that on social media. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. Raised and so on. So, why is Dr. Anya being removed? Because his letter also spoke about the restructuring of Kolebu. And what is being restructured about Kolebu? I mean, I don't know. These are issues for which we have to keep on raising relevant questions. Maybe I hope you are satisfied.
No, because if you are restructuring, do you remove the chief executive?
Maybe the chief executive is too conservative.
Obstacle to the restructuring.
Yes, maybe.
Where is that demonstrable evidence that?
Why are you asking me? Am I the one who signed the letter? No, I said my nurse anti-baby. Why are you asking me?
Even as taxpayers, I will not entitled to know
exactly
what crime those people have.
That's why we are raising the questions.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Pratt, I'm sure you are done now.
What can I do?
All right, so it's 10 minutes after 12. Our sports guys gave us a bit of their time. We thank them for the time they gave us, and that brings us to the end of today's show, probably brought to us by TT Brothers, and they supply the Anko Tea Premium Malt, extra energy and vitality. They equally supply the Anko Tea Sangria wine, the red wine, 13% wine produced with grape selection from old wines. They are equally responsible for the distribution of the sweet, refreshing Spanish red wine, the Anko Tea Sangria wine, 750 ml with alcohol percentage of 7%. They supply that, and you'll find them at the Nungwa Barrier Maracuja House on the Tema Beach Road and Anko Tea House of the Tema Aflao Road. And you can call them on 0303 304 481 or 0501396377 or 0507396378. That's it for today's show. My name is Samuel Ishen. I've been here with Mr. Kwesipa Jr., the managing editor of the Insight newspaper, Alhaji A.B.F. Husseini, ranking member on Communication Committee and Member of Parliament for Sanarugu constituency, Ambassador Sampiale, former High Commissioner to India. And we've been thoroughly discussing the Anas Arimiyao Anas expose and also the president's sacking of some chief executive officers within this same week. Production support coming from Patrick Asford Bodu and the technical team. I am grateful to you as well. You, the listeners, I am grateful to you as well for doing the listening. God bless.